What's going on, everybody? Y'all already know the vibes, baby. And today we're going to be talking about the Chicago OpTic Dallas Empire merger. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think anything has been set in stone yet, but there's rumors out there, and it's basically all but done from all the research, all the evidence that I've gathered, which has basically just been Twitter and the COD Reddit. And I kind of wanted to give my take on it. Now, the rumor has basically been, if you do live under a rock, Chicago OpTic and Dallas Empire are merging into one team. Okay, and the 4 players that will be playing for that team, which whatever their name, would be, I'm just going to go ahead and say Dallas OpTic for right now. It would be Shotzzy, Illey, Scump, and Dashy. First off, I think that team is absolutely fantastic. And that's how I guess I'll start this video off. I've said this a bunch of times in the last week, I feel like, on streams and just people wanting my opinion on what I would do if I was the GM of OpTic. And that's basically exactly what they did. On paper, when you look at this team, clear to me that Dashy would be the main AR of this team. And I've said this time and time again, Dashy is one of the most talented Call of Duty players to ever play. He's definitely one of the most talented Call of Duty players in the league right now. But for some reason, and I'm not pinning all the blame on him, the last 3 years, when he is the flex, not only has the main AR on his team, okay, in Black Ops 4 you have Crim, in Modern Warfare you have Slasher, and then in Cold War you have Formal. Not only have they had some of their worst years statistically, if not their worst year, the team just has not had really any success. And I'm definitely holding OpTic to a higher standard, right? We have high expectations for OpTic, so success to them is winning. Not, getting top 3, not getting top 4, not being a top 4 team. It is winning. And I truly think that one of the biggest issues with all those teams is Dashy's going to get his kills. Okay, he's very talented, but he's the type of player who is going to be a tad bit slower, going to be playing very kill heavy. And when I say slower, I don't mean pace necessarily. His in-game decisiveness is going to rely a lot around kills. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. This is not a shot at Dashy. But when you have a player like him in the flex role, okay, and then you also have a main AR who is not only going to be playing slower, because that's the nature of the role in terms of pace, but they're also, their main jobs for the most part are getting those kills. Okay, they're very kill heavy. They're the ones in the back line, shooting behind the sub, shooting over top of the subs, whatever the case may be. So when you have 2 players playing like that, the pacing of the team, the general ideology of the team on what to do when you get those kills, it's going to be staggered. It's going to be difficult to really have productive kills on the team. Now, if you're not really following me, the easiest way I could explain it is we'll look at Cold War, for example, right? You look at FAZE, best team throughout the entire year. They had Arcity's main AR, definitely a little slower. Simp and Abizi, the 2 subs, but Celium is their flex. Okay, we all know how MC plays. He is a very decisive player. He's a very aggressive aggro flex player. Now, flex player isn't only about if there is a flex gun or the fact that they can run a sub or an AR at a very high level. It is the bridge. They bridge the gap between the subs and the main AR in terms of pacing. Okay, so you have Celium, then you go to Toronto, you have Cammy. Okay, same sort of thing, very aggressive. He is making plays, he's taking these routes to really give his team the biggest advantage that they can have when they get those kills. And if I'm being honest, Dashy is probably the most talented or second most talented out of, if you include OpTic, out of those 4 teams when it comes to that role. But he's not as impactful in the flex role as those others. Okay, now if he was in the main AR role, I think he'd be one of the best main ARs in the league. So I think this move is great because you make him the main AR. At least that's what I hope they're doing. You have Illey in the flex, you have Shotzzy and Scump in those sub roles. I think the team would be great. So if that is the team, they're going to be scary going into next year. And I want to get that off my chest. But now we're going to get into I guess the bigger question is, why are they merging? And honestly, I'm kind of torn, guys, because one side of me I actually think it's really fucking cool. You know, Empire or Envy and OpTic are two of not only the biggest names in Call of Duty history, but the longest lasting. For them to merge, if they do, is interesting. It's different, and I like it. Like a part of me likes it, but then also it's just weird. You know, this is the eClassico. These teams have history. These organizations have history. These owners have history. They got rivalries. Obviously, I know Hex and Stro, I would assume, are good friends. They have a long relationship. So it's not like there's beef and I'm like, oh, why are they merging? That makes no sense. But I guess the bigger picture here is just like, why would they decide to do that? And I've seen people talk about how maybe there was some sort of internal beef between NRG and Hex. I don't know if that's the case. Okay. I'm not in a position to talk about it. But it kind of makes sense. Okay. And I've heard people say that basically if NRG, because they were the main investor or the co-investor, I don't know the terms for that spot, that they didn't want to keep funding OpTic. Now, I don't know if that's true at all, by any means. I'm just going by what I heard, what I read. But if that was the case and they didn't want to fund OpTic, people were saying OpTic doesn't have enough to, I guess, not be sustainable, but be able to be in the league for it to make sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but you kind of get the point. And once again, that's not a shot at Hector, not a shot at OpTic, because when you look at a lot of the teams in the league, a lot of the owners, these guys are multi-billionaires. Okay, when you look at Los Angeles Guerrillas, their ownership group, the Cronkies, they own the LA Rams, they own, I think it's Arsenal or something like that. Like, they own legitimate traditional sports clubs, teams like rich in history. You look at like Seattle Surge, their ownership group owns the Seattle Seahawks, owns the Vancouver Canucks. Like, as wildly successful that OpTic and Hex have been, it is just different levels to it, you know? So if that is the case, which I'm not sure that it is 100% by any means, but if that is, it also makes me a little bit worried about other teams in the league and how, I guess, people feel, you know, behind the scenes. Because if Hex and Stro are doing this to make it make sense financially, I'm a little worried in the future for just every team in the league. Even if these teams don't necessarily, they're not stressing about how much money that they invested in the team. It's like, if there is no sort of return, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you stay? And you know, just to kind of touch on that without getting too far off topic, I saw that like Paris Legion, they're not trademarked anymore. So there's rumors that they're selling their spot, but it seems kind of weird. And if the OpTic and the Empire news is real, the Paris Legion news is real, I'm a little worried going into the next couple of years. Because if teams and orgs and ownership groups are like, hey, this isn't worth it, let's just get out of here, let's just cut our losses where they're at, it's going to stagger the growth. It's going to stagger the growth of COD, of the CDL. And that's definitely something that I don't want to happen. So right now, I feel like we're in the weirdest and wildest time in COD history. Just because this kind of came out of left field. I thought United was getting back in. They were teasing it, ended up being Halo. I don't know what that was, but that's besides the point. And we're kind of just in this weird situation where there's teams that maybe are thinking about pulling out or are pulling out, no pun intended. You have obviously a lot of drama around the scene. Not going to touch on any of that. But so we're in a weird spot. And I don't know how I exactly feel about the OpTic Envy merger, if it is true. Like I said, I'm almost positive that nothing's been confirmed yet, but it's like all but confirmed, you know? So I don't know. I'm on the fence about it, because as cool as I do think it is for them to, I guess, join up together to kind of take down FAZE, you know, try and build the Avengers. And if they did it because it benefits both of them, especially financially, like that's obviously always a good thing. They have history, they have a long relationship. So it would make sense. But damn, man, at the same time, it's like the eClassico is just done forever. You know, it's It worries me a little bit. Also, the most important thing is, what would their name be? Because I have a feeling that no matter what, there's no shot that there can't be an OpTic in COD. You know, like, imagine no OpTic in Call of Duty. But at the same time, even though I know it's technically Empire now, I know Stro and the envious organization, there's no way that they're just going to be like, ah, yeah, whatever, we don't care. You know, they already have a ring in the CDL era. You know, they won the inaugural season of the CDL. So who knows what would happen? I don't even like Dallas OpTic, Dallas Empire OpTic, the Dallas OpTic Empire. I don't even know if that's allowed, but it's weird. It's weird. Formal also retiring, but I am going to touch on that in a Roster Mania video. It's just a lot going on. It's a lot going on, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I was just kind of talking off the top of the dome. I want to know in the comment section below what you guys think. If this OpTic Empire merger, not only what you think about the team, I personally think that they could be very dominant on paper. They look unbelievable, but just how you feel about the CDL overall. How you would feel about there not being that NB OpTic rivalry anymore. No eClassico. And also what you think their team name would be if they did merger. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. We are close to 30,000 subs on the tube, which is crazy. I know I've been inconsistent, but we're getting back on the train. So I'm going to see y'all when I see y'all. Until next time, deuces.